Canada! Welcome back to another episode of Question Period. Today is November 28th, 2024. Holy moly macaroni. Tensions are super duper high here in Parliament. All right. We've got a potential vote of non-confidence taking place today. That's right. Justin Trudeau's proposed tax incentive. No GST for the next foreseeable future as long as it doesn't pass 60 days. Kind of weird, kind of lame. A lot of people don't appreciate that and aren't going to vote for that, such as the obvious, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. Also, Bloc Québécois, they are against the proposed tax bill. 60 days is not enough time. And then Jagmeet saying the flippity flop on the floppity flip. Where does he stand? We don't know. He doesn't even know. But chances are he's not going to support it because he's a man for the people, right? He's fighting the good fight. He cares about unions. He cares about people. And of course, he wouldn't support 60-day exemption from a GST tax. That's not enough, right, Jagmeet? You want to pander to brainwash NDP voters and supporters, you're going to have to do more than 60 days. Not even 70 days. Not even 70. Just 60. Kind of weird, kind of bizarre. So we're heading into today with a lot of tensions. Yesterday was pretty insane. Caucus leader day got crazy out of control. You had Pierre Poilievre go, calm down, Justin. Calm down. Simmer down, bud. Take a seat. Do some breaths. Goosh fraba. All right, that was pretty funny. So we're heading into today with a lot of pent up tensions. It's going to be great. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe. It does really help grow the channel. We're at 220-some thousand, 222,000, 223,000 subscribers. Let's keep it going. Come on. We're almost there. We're almost at, no, 120, 220. I don't even know what we're at. I don't even know what channel I'm streaming on. I got so many channels. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Before we take a look at what's going on in Parliament, we're going to take a look at some stuff that just hit the shelves this morning. All right, we're going to take a look at some stuff that just hit fresh off the press, as I like to say, fresh off the press. Trudeau did some interviews, and well, he sounds like a dumbass. I'll just put it that way. He sounds like a dumbass, but that's not too hard, right? Sounds like that every day. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes on the stream. How about that? Let's see if we can get over 1,000 likes before we begin. We got almost 2,000 people in here. That's pretty good. That's not too bad. But let's see if we can get more. We might be seeing an actual vote of non-confidence today, which is gonna be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Are you kidding me? It's an early Christmas present. For me, it's an early birthday present because I'm born on Christmas. Once upon a time, I took pride in that, but now I found out that Justin Trudeau is also born on Christmas. So I identify as not sharing a birthday with Justin Trudeau, but still being born on Christmas. How about that? It's Canada. You can identify as Indigenous and get government money. I mean, for a limited amount of time before you get canned. But hey, we can identify however we want. Let's take a look here at some of these interviews. Here we go. Let's see Justin.
Prime Minister, last year when you came to the forum, we were backstage. On our way up, you and I met in the back, and you sort of looked at me as you came up, and you said, wow, Ryan, there's a lot of people here. And you said, way to go. And I said, yeah, thanks, Prime Minister. It's because of you and your leadership. And then you said, it was a funny moment for me at least, you said, what do all these people kind of want? Like, what is their ask? And I said, well, at that time, it was really clear that we wanted to get a green and transition taxonomy over the finish line, and we wanted mandatory climate disclosures.
No matter how often I tell Ryan, stop pushing anything with the word tax in it, he keeps pushing for a taxonomy.
Yeah, it was kind of a nerdy moment, but I know that we've called it sustainable finance guidelines.
Yes, and that's a much better thing to explain to people.
But like, look at the room we're in. They all know what
taxonomy is, yes.
But Prime Minister...
Okay. Kind of weird, but nonetheless, that really happened. We've got some more of those. We've got this one here. This one is even weirder. Here we go.
People are squeezed every single day at the grocery store, in paying their rents, in thinking about whether their job's going to hold them to retirement, what their kids are going to do. It's really easy to scare people into being even more anxious and thinking even more short-term and more limited. The challenge with that is the pressures we're facing are not going to go away. They're only going to get worse, particularly around climate change, which will worsen every other challenge we're facing, whether it's geopolitics, whether it's economic pressures, whether it's supply chains, whatever it is, migration challenges and the like. Climate change makes it all worse. So people are stuck in a situation where they know climate change is bad, but they also know that if they can't put food on the table this week, and if they can't stabilize their living situation this year, how bad it's going to be 10 years from now, or how terrible it'll be for their grandkids, has to fall second to taking care of their family, their loved ones, and themselves right now. And that's where the old story that has been told for far too long, that there's somehow a choice to be made between either you invest in the economy and you take care of affordability and economy, or you take care of climate change, but you can't do both. You get a hit on one in order to do the other. Those are thinking both on the left and the right, where the far left will say, no, we've only got to do climate change, we can't think about the economy, or the far right will say, no, we can't worry about climate change, maybe it doesn't even exist, we have to double down on the economy and the affordability. Everyone in this room is in this room because you know, like most Canadians do, that you can't have a plan for economic growth and opportunity if you're not fighting climate change and caring for the environment at the same time, not in the medium and long term, and that's what governance matters. And you can't actually fight climate change unless you allow yourselves the economic tools to bring that fight to bear. And that's where making sure that it's not just about, oh, we have to stave off the worst effects of the extreme weather events that are going to hit 10 years from now, 20 years from now, therefore we have to spend now or it's going to cost us billions, which is absolutely true, trillions, which is absolutely true. It's framing it much more as fighting climate change right now, doing things responsible around the economy right now, is going to help you right now, in your job right now, in your family finances right now, in how you feel right now about the future. And that's where this room and the economic solutions and the entrepreneurship and the innovation that so many people are driving right now is so important to be celebrating.
So if we took a shot every time he said right now, I think that I would be very drunk right now. But also, Trudeau, I have no more fucks to give right now. I'm sorry. Unaffordability is at an all-time peak, and your biggest concern is let's spend more money and increase taxes on fighting climate right now. I think that you will lose the election if it were to happen right now. I think you've lost all support right now. And I think that you're an idiot right now. But hey, that's my opinion. Guys, I would love to know yours. Then we got Pierre Poilievre. Who, well, he had this to say this morning. Let's take a look.
If the government needs to pass new spending to better secure its borders, would you support that?
Why haven't they done it? They broke the border. Justin Trudeau broke the border. We didn't have these problems before Justin Trudeau. We didn't have Roxham Road before Justin Trudeau. We didn't have these illegal border crossings before Justin Trudeau. We didn't have, the number of asylum claims have gone from 10,000 to over 200,000 under Justin Trudeau, more than 20-fold increase. All the chaos at our border is the result of Justin Trudeau. It's his job to come up with a plan today. You know what we're seeing now, though, is that because the Prime Minister has vacated the border and turned it open to anyone who wants to come in, the premiers are now taking responsibility for our border. Trudeau wants to be in charge of all these provincial areas of jurisdiction, and yet he's not taking care of the one federal job that is most the responsibility of the federal government, which is the border. So we have...
You got Danielle Smith, who right now just announced that she's going to be working hand in hand with Montana. Not the restaurant, but the state, right? Yeah, they got enough ribs. They're fine. She's going to be working with Montana, not Montana's, to secure the border instead of Justin Trudeau working. That's crazy. What the hell's going on? What the hell's going on?
Of Quebec, sending in the Sûreté du Québec, their police force, to secure the border. Premier Smith, common sense leader, is proposing to use drones, provincial drones, and other police law enforcement measures from her province to secure the borders there. I understand Doug Ford is looking at something similar. So now, because Trudeau has so thoroughly broken the border, we're getting a patchwork of premiers who have no choice but to try and hold the border together with bubble gum, Scotch tape, and elastic bands. Just everything is broken after Justin Trudeau. We need a carbon tax election to fire him and bring in a strong prime minister who can rebuild our borders.
Hey, man, that's something that we can all agree with. Canada first, let's rebuild the borders, right? There you go. And if we don't, we're going to get slapped with 25% tariffs. So, yeah, there's that. Now, that was just one question. That was just one question with the reporter. Let's take a look at an actual press conference that Pierre Poilievre did. Here we go.
Housing costs have doubled. Food bank use have doubled. He has done this through a costly carbon tax that's driven up food prices 37% faster in Canada than in the United States of America. We have the worst housing inflation and the worst household debt of any G7 country. $500 billion net has left our country to invest in the United States, creating jobs for American workers with our money. Our GDP per capita is smaller than it was 10 years ago and has dropped more since before COVID than any other G7 country, all while the American economy has boomed. Now we face new threats to our brittle and weak economy. The reality is we have a weakened economy, a weakened border, a weakened military, and a severely weakened prime minister. He's desperate. He's lost control, but he's trying to hold on to power. And so he's come up with a irresponsible and inflationist $6 billion tax trick that he will take away right before raising the carbon tax on heat, housing, groceries, and gas in just a few months. Common sense conservatives will vote against this irresponsible, inflationist, temporary 2-month tax trick and instead push our plan to axe the carbon tax and axe the sales tax on new homes for everyone, for good. And I would add that now is the worst possible time to be blowing $6 billion trying to save Justin Trudeau's political skin, especially with the threats coming from the United States, with our border in chaos, our economy collapsing, and everything broken. We need real, responsible leadership from a strong, smart Prime Minister who has the brains and backbone to put Canada first. Thank you.
Okay, so a couple of things here. In anticipation of receiving my $250 GST tax break, I went out the other day and I bought a coat. This is a Carhartt coat. Look at this. It's a winter coat. It's duck lined. It's $229 or $239, right around $250. I've already spent my money. Thanks, Trudeau. Now, that's not enough to buy my vote because I don't have snow pants. Sorry. You got me the top half, not the bottom half, which is more than Trudeau can say. He gets the bottom half often from Jag Meat. But hey, look, I've already spent my money. Am I cold in my basement right now? No. It's actually going to be quite warm. But I vow to wear this coat for the entire day. Here we go. You guys ready for this? Let's listen to what else Pierre's got.
Mr. Poilievre, have you or anyone associated with your...
I thought you liked the idea of cutting taxes.
This isn't, that's why I'm opposed to this. This isn't a tax cut. This is an inflationary 2-month temporary tax trick that will drive up the cost of living. Even today, the food professor was out saying,
come on, Pierre, I got a free coat out of it. Come on, what do you mean? It's not enough? We can all get a free coat. What do you mean?
This measure will make food even more expensive. That's what happens when government dumps a bunch of cash into the country without creating more of what cash buys. We need tax relief that actually encourages the economy to produce more of the stuff cash buys, grow more food, build more homes, and produce more energy. If you got an economy with 10 loaves of bread and $10, it's $1 a loaf. If you double the number of dollars to 20, but you still only have 10 loaves of bread, you're not twice as rich. It just means that each loaf of bread costs twice as much. You got to produce more grains and bake more bread rather than creating more cash. And that's what my tax cuts are not just about lowering costs. They're about sparking more production. By axing the carbon tax, our businesses can hire more workers and produce more goods. By axing the sales tax, we're going to get 30,000 extra homes per year every year. By getting rid of the energy cap, we're going to produce more affordable energy. So instead of creating cash, we're going to create more of what cash buys, and our purchasing power will go further.
If the government needs to pass new spending to better secure its borders, would you support that?
Why haven't they done it? They broke the border. Justin Trudeau broke the border. We didn't have these problems before Justin Trudeau. We didn't have Roxham Road before Justin Trudeau.
No.
We didn't have these illegal border crossings before Justin Trudeau. We didn't have, the number of asylum claims have gone from 10,000 to over 200,000 under Justin Trudeau, more than 20-fold increase. All the chaos at our border is the result of Justin Trudeau. It's his job to come up with a plan today. You know what we're seeing now, though, is that because the Prime Minister has vacated the border and turned it open to anyone who wants to come in, the premiers are now taking responsibility for our border. Trudeau wants to be in charge of all these provincial areas of jurisdiction, and yet he's not taking care of the one federal job that is most the responsibility of the federal government, which is the border. So we have Quebec sending in the Sûreté du Québec, their police force, to secure the border. Premier Smith, common sense leader, is proposing to use drones, provincial drones, and other police law enforcement measures from her province to secure the borders there. I understand Doug Ford is looking at something similar. So now, because Trudeau has so thoroughly broken the border, we're getting a patchwork of premiers who have no choice but to try and
You see the cop
hold the border
walking
together with bubble gum, scotch tape, and elastic bands. Just everything is broken after Justin Trudeau. We need a carbon tax election to fire him and bring in a strong prime minister who can rebuild our borders.
Pierre, what are you talking about, man? Look at this. I've never had a jacket purchased by a prime minister for me. And look, I know we didn't get the money yet, but essentially Trudeau bought me this jacket. All right. So I like it. It's nice, but that's not enough to buy my vote. I need pants with that too, because it's cold. I've already shoveled twice today. I've shoveled twice. So if somebody gets me pants, I might vote for them. But hey, man, come on, Pierre. Are you saying that this is all a scam? Are you saying that Justin Trudeau's tax plan is a scam? $250? Isn't that enough to pull us out of poverty? I don't even need home heating. I got a jacket. What are you talking about? What did Trudeau break? Oh, our morale, the system, Canada, immigration, our bank accounts, our hopes and dreams. He might be onto something. You know what? This is blood money jacket. This is blood money jacket, and I'm conflicted because I want the jacket. I like to wear this jacket. It's a winter jacket. But Trudeau bought it. Do I wear it? What do I do, guys? What do I do? I'm confused. Not as confused as Trudeau, but I'm still confused.
Oui, en français. Merci. C'est vrai. Sur la frontière, monsieur.
La français, pas ça. Non, 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 non. C'est tout fini. Let's skip forward.
La frontière. Monsieur Trudeau a renforcer la frontière pour les gens renforcer.
Said you'd impose tariffs on the U.S. if necessary. How would you do it if necessary?
If invited, would you be willing to go to Mar-a-Lago before the next election to discuss these issues with Donald Trump?
I have not been invited to that, so thank you.
Ooh, should Pierre go to Mar-a-Lago? Should Pierre go to Mar-a-Lago and talk to Papa Trump? Eh, would you guys like to see that? I'd like to see that. That would be pretty cool, man. Go talk to Papa Trump about what's going on. I'd be down for that. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Should Pierre go to Mar-a-Lago or not? And then also, how are you guys spending your $250? Did you guys buy a jacket? Did you buy a beach towel? What are you going to do? Look, the fact that there's snow outside, I've already had to shovel twice and we're still in November. What's going on? It's November in Canada, folks. Climate change is so bad that I've had to spend $250 on a winter jacket while living in northern BC, of all places. I guess we're right. Trudeau is correct that I should be wearing shorts and a t-shirt at the end of November in northern BC. And I guess that's what the $250 is for. I bought the wrong piece of clothing. Damn. Instead of buying a winter jacket, which I shouldn't have to wear in northern BC at the end of November in Canada, I should have gotten myself a $250 bathing suit or a $200 bathing suit with glasses, because that's the Canada that Trudeau wants. He wants a full tropical climate here in Canada. We're not supposed to have winters or snow. That's what Trudeau wants, right? That's what the climate change thing is about. I don't know, guys. I'm very confused, though. I'm very confused. Should I put my hood up? Look at that. How does that look? No, that looks dumb. Here, let's do this. Oh, it's okay. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. Sorry. There. This is what Trudeau wants, right? There you go. There's my $250. Can I still hear? Is it going to be able to? It's really well insulated jacket. It costs $250. I don't know if I'll be able to hear anything, but here we go. We got Freeland talking. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
The Prime Minister has just hosted, together with Premier Doug Ford, a meeting of the First Ministers across Canada. Minister LeBlanc and I joined him, and we were also joined by Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP, Mark Flynn, who's with us here. It was a really good, really important meeting. We talked about the Canada-US relationship, and our central agreement on which everyone was agreed really from the outset was that this is a time when we need to play for Team Canada. We need to work in a united and coordinated way. We agreed that we need to be smart, strong, and united in meeting this challenge. We spoke principally about the border and the Canada-US trade relationship. When it came to the economic relationship, we talked about the fact that trade between Canada and the United States is balanced and mutually beneficial, that Canada is the largest market for the United States by far, larger than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. Many premiers talked about how important their provinces are for US exporters. And we also talked about how the United States depends on us for many essential products. In particular, we spoke about energy. We talked about how the US relies on Canadian oil, Canadian electricity, Canadian critical minerals and metals.
Canadian oil? I thought we didn't have any oil. I thought Canada didn't have any oil. I mean, I know we have oil in the ground, but what are you talking about? People rely on Canadian oil. Canada doesn't even rely on Canadian oil. We rely on Saudi oil. The clean, environmentally friendly, ethically mined Saudi oil. I thought that's what Canada believed in. But other countries rely on Canadian oil? What? That doesn't make any sense. Come on. Come on. No, that can't be true. Other countries rely on Canada oil, but Canada relies on clean, ethically mined Saudi oil? Oh, come on.
Referred to how that dependency on Canadian energy is particularly important today at a time when AI is such an important force for the economy of the future, and AI is so power hungry. Mm-hmm. We also spoke about how
Canada is so progressive. Canada is so progressive that we are investing in nuclear energy. We're investing in nuclear energy, and we're Canada's investing in nuclear energy. I need to go full screen for this. Hold on a second. This is a little difficult with my Justin Trudeau bought jacket, my $250 jacket. Canada's so ahead of the game that we're investing in nuclear energy. The Liberals are investing in nuclear energy. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness they're investing in nuclear energy. But we're so progressive that we're investing in nuclear energy in the Indo-Pacific region. We're not investing in nuclear energy here in Canada. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? We allow people to poop on our beaches in Canada, but instead we go to the Congo and we help them not poop on their beaches in the Congo. We are investing in nuclear energy in the Indo-Pacific region, but not in Canada. Am I the only one that thinks that this government is just absolutely stupid? Can I not be gaslit for a second? Can people in the comments just remind me that none of this makes any sense? Because I feel a little crazy sometimes. Not because I'm wearing a $250 government provided or government bought with the GST tax credit winter jacket in my basement with my hood up when I absolutely don't need to do that. That's not why I feel crazy. I just feel like this government makes me feel crazy with the shit that they do and they say. Especially this chick. She makes me feel crazy the most.
How Canada and the United States are aligned when it comes to China and China's unfair trade practices, China's intentional policy of capacity. We spoke a lot about the border. Minister LeBlanc will have more to say about that, but our shared view was that, of course, the United States has the absolute right to control who enters the United States, just as Canada has the absolute right to control who enters Canada. We agreed that illegal drugs, especially opioids, are a scourge for both of our countries and that we need to continue to work hard to ensure our border is safe and secure and to really crack down on illegal drugs. Alors, on a eu une excellente conversation avec le Premier.
We'll skip a little bit.
To boundaries. So we'll have subcommissionary. So we visas for the next other important, precise word, a dialogue that we have. But
holy crap, is the whole thing in French?
To reassure Canadians that the security
the USA and Mrs. Freeland and me will be working on that.
Focused to a considerable extent on border security. We spoke to premiers about the security currently in place at the Canadian border. We believe that there is a circumstance where we can make additional investments to reassure Canadians that all of the measures necessary are in place and will continue to be in place. We have a lot of faith in the work done by border services officers, by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We appreciate the work of provincial police forces. The Prime Minister spoke to premiers about the important work of collaborating with law enforcement agencies. The Ontario Provincial Police, Sûreté de Québec, are valuable partners for the RCMP and work with them in ensuring that all of the measures are in place. And finally, we spoke about additional measures, additional investments that we can make in supporting the work of the RCMP, of Canadian Border Services Agency. Premiers spoke about their desire to collaborate with us on issues around border security, including some of the measures taken by Mark Miller on immigration, on tightening visa requirements for persons coming from Mexico, dealing with increasingly a number of cases involving fraudulent pretexts where people get a visa to come to Canada but ultimately are trying to enter the United States. We'll continue to tighten the screws on that process to make sure that we continue to have an immigration system and borders that in fact support the integrity and security that Canadians and Americans work on every day and have for decades. So it was a positive conversation, and we're going to continue to ensure that we work with premiers in the coming weeks to set a Team Canada approach in terms of border security, national security, and ensuring that the immigration system is orderly. Merci beaucoup.
All righty. Hey, there's my thumbnail. What? How am I seeing a thumbnail for this live stream while on this live stream? What the fuck is going on? All right, guys, we got some crazy stuff happening right now. They're going to be voting on the GST tax credit, I believe, right now in 2 minutes here. I just got to turn off this shitty classical music. This is going to be crazy. They're doing this. It's actually happening. They're doing this. Here you go, folks. So they're not in the house right now. They're not in the house right now. We got to look at this loading screen for a minute. And then they're gonna file in. They're gonna do a vote right now, and then after question period, they're going to be debating it. Only one person from each party can debate for 10 minutes. Them's the rules. Karina Gould also released a statement because she's the guardian keeper for the Liberals. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, the bill in the name of the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, entitled an Act Representing Temporary Cost of Living Relief, Affordability, be disposed as of follows. The bill be ordered for consideration at the second reading stage immediately after the adoption of this order. B. When the House begins debate at the second reading stage of the bill, one member of each recognized party and a member of the Green Party may each speak of the said stage for not more than 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for questions and comments. C. At the conclusion of the time provided for the debate, or when member wishes to speak, whichever is earlier, all questions necessary to dispose of the second reading stage of the bill be deemed put, a recorded division be deemed requested, and the vote shall not be deferred. And D, if the bill is adopted at the second stage reading... Dude, this is why people don't give a shit about politics. This is why people don't care about politics. What the hell did I even read? I don't even understand what I just read. I'll be honest. That made no sense at all. They're going to be voting right now. This is what's going to happen. Let me break it down in simple language for myself to understand.
La question est la suivante.
They're going to be doing a vote.
Ms. Gould, seconded by Ms. Bieber.
On the GST stuff.
That
after question period, they're going to be debating.
Government
10 minutes,
43,
one person per
adjourned.
each party can talk, followed by 5 minutes of questions and comments.
Please rise.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Mr. Sajjan.
Mr. Sajjan.
Mr. Guilbeault.
Mr. Guilbeault.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Mr. Fraser.
Mr. Fraser.
Ms. Hutchings.
Ms. Hutchings.
Mr. Varani.
All right, folks, this is the vote for the GST.
Ms. Murray.
Ms. Groh.
Miss Groh.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Casey.
Mr. Vandal.
Mr. Vandal.
Ms. Kara.
Miss Kara.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Miss Qualtrough.
Monsieur Miller.
Monsieur Miller.
Ms. Sahota.
Miss Sahota.
Madame Joly.
Madame Joly.
Madame Bibeau.
Madame Bibeau.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Mr. Beach.
Mr. Beach.
Madame Martinez-Ferrada.
Madame Martinez-Ferrada.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Ms. Hutchings. Correction, Ms. Jazik.
Miss Jazik.
Mr. Dollywall.
Mr. Dollywall.
Miss O'Connell.
Ms. O'Connell.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Lamour.
Mr. Lamour.
Madame Fortier.
This is part 1 of the vote. The second part will happen after question period.
Mr. Bruson.
Mr. Kuzmarchuk.
Mr. Kuzmarchuk.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Fonseca.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Yacono.
Mr. Nakvi.
Mr. Nakvi.
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East.
Mr. Cedar Brampton East.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Badaway.
Mr. Sousa.
Mr. Sousa.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Kellaway.
Housefather, you
Hello.
traitor.
Ms. Vandenbeld.
Ms.
Wuss.
Vandenbeld.
Madame Koutrakis.
Madame Koutrakis.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. McDonald Avalon.
Mr. McDonald Avalon.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Shifke.
Mr. Shifke.
Ms. Sidhu Brampton South.
Ms. Cedar Brampton South.
Mr. Sarbera.
Mr. Sorbera.
Ms. Sep.
Don't forget, guys, this is part 1.
Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mrs. Zaid.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Madame Mendez.
Madame Mendez.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Chahal.
Mr. Chahal.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
So for those that are tuning in,
Ms. Taylor Roy.
what they're voting on right now is for the temporary cost of
Matheson.
tax relief, the GST.
Ms. Gazan.
So it looks like the NDP standing up and voting in favor,
Mr. Cannings.
Mr. Canning.
which Jagmeet said he wouldn't, and then he said he would, and then he said he wouldn't, and then now looks like he would.
All those opposed to the motion.
There go the Conservatives.
Mr.
Hey, if this doesn't go through, Pierre, you owe me $250 for this jacket.
Mrs.
I've already spent the money.
Miss Landsman.
Miss Landsman.
Miss Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Miss Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mrs. Gray.
Mrs. Gray.
Miss Dancho.
Dancho.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Kimmich.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr.
Bloc is voting nay.
Mr. Small.
The Bloc Québécois is gonna vote nay, tabarouette!
Mrs. Block.
Mon Seigneur!
Mayor Michi Grand Lake.
Mr. Stewart, Mayor Michi Grand Lake.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. McCall.
All right, Pierre and the Bloc, whatever your name is.
Mr. Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mrs. Good.
Who even knows what his name is? Yves Français?
Mr. Aitchison.
Yves Français?
Mr. Godin.
Poutine escargot.
Mr. Morantz.
Mr. Morantz.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mr. Tucker.
So anyone who's not in the house right now is going to be voting electronically.
Mrs. Cramp Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp Nyman.
Madame
If we don't get this $250, I'm sending a bill
Mr. Shipley.
Mr. Mew.
to Pierre and the Bloc.
Redicott.
Mr. Redicott.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Yves Français François Coccinelle Blanchet.
Mr. Major.
That's his name.
Major.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Epp.
Mr. Epp.
Miss Rempel Garner.
Ms. Rempel Garner.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Tolmy.
Mr. Tolney.
Mrs. White.
Yves François Poutine.
Mr.
Yeah, pretty much.
Albus.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Dalton.
Mr. Dalton.
Mr. Nader.
Mr. Nader.
Mrs. Falk. Battlefords Lloydminster.
Mrs. Falk Betterford.
Nader?
Mr. Weber.
Isn't that the rusty car? The
Mr. Shields.
in
Mr. Mott.
Mr. Mott.
Mr.
in cars? Nader?
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Soroka.
Mr. Soroka.
Mr. Vidal.
Mr. Vidal.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Dowdle.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Vierson.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Leipert.
Mr. Leipert.
Mr. Kitchen.
Okay, this is crazy. The Bloc has yet to actually vote in favor of anything with the Conservatives.
Mr. Stewart.
So now we've got
Monsieur Terrien.
Monsieur Terrien.
a French Conservative coalition
De Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Retour.
versus the NDP Liberal coalition.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Thériault.
Monsieur Thériault.
Madame Gaudreau.
People are saying I don't qualify for the $250.
Monsieur Barsalou Duval.
Guys, I already spent the money.
Madame,
We're in a bit of a pickle here, aren't we?
Madame Bérubé.
Madame Bérubé.
Now we're going to vote electronically for those that aren't here. Is that what's going on? We're going to vote electronically. He muted the mic. That's okay. They're talking. Guys, I already spent the money. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I already spent $250 on my jacket. Of course it's a nice jacket. Of course. Yeah. Gotta cut that music. Sorry. Gotta cut the music. There you go. Nays. There you go. Conservatives, liberals are voting yay. Nays, Liberal, NDP. Here's the watermelon pin check. Yays, Liberals. The Bloc, nay. Independent, nay. Hey, look at that. Jasraj Singh. Voted nay. Conservatives all vote nay. Liberals, yay. Dominic LeBlanc. Suganese. Conservatives vote nay. Libs still yay. Conservatives and the Bloc, nay. Libs, yay. Omar Algebra, is he still in? Hey, pay attention for Randy. Pay attention for Randy because he still has a vote. Somebody screenshot it and tag me on X. Please. Libs, yay. Bloc. Kevin Vaughn, nay. We love you, Kevin. We love you. We love you, Kevin. Kevin just started a family, by the way. Just had a daughter a couple months ago. There's Randy. There's Randy. There's Randy. Holy shit. He got kicked out of the Liberal cabinet and he's still an independent and still has a vote after pretending to be Indigenous. You can't make this shit up. This is nuts. Mary Ng, accused of Chinese interference, votes yay. How is she still in Parliament? So it seems like the independents are mostly voting nay. Oh, except Han Dong. Han Dong's independent, but he voted yay. Traitor. Oops. Am I allowed to say that? Okay, so most of the independents. So Randy's an independent. He voted yay. Kevin Vaughn, not Kevin Vaughn. Fuck shit. Han Dong voted yay. All the other independents so far have voted nay, like Kevin. I like Kevin. Kevin's good. Anthony Rhoda, I did not see that coming. He voted yay. Of course he did. Of course he did. Why not? He invited a Nazi into Parliament. He's still in Parliament. He's still in Parliament. He's still an MP. He's still on payroll. He still gets paid a lot of money. He invited a literal Nazi. Green Party voted yay. Okay. Interesting. All of the Bloc, all of the Conservatives voted nay. We got a prediction down below. We got a prediction. Let's see here. The $250 is not part of the bill they're voting on. That's a different bill. Apparently you guys have been saying that to me in the chat. I mean, I still spent the money, guys. I still spent the money, so we're still in a bit of a pickle anyways. Okay, so this is just for the GST tax credit. No, this is just the GST tax break for 60 days. There's Jagmeet. He voted yay. What a bitch. What a loser. So this is not voting for the $250 that I already spent my money on. Some people abstained, so it might look like 176 to 148. Okay. 176 to 148. We got a analyst who's 179 to 148. I got an analyst who's locking in that answer, that guess. Put some L's in the chat for Jagmeet. Put some L's in the chat for Jagmeet. He is a stain. Oh, what a loser. Okay, so this is still kind of cool though, folks. It's still kind of cool because for the first time ever, we are seeing the Conservatives and the Bloc team up. Are you guys putting else in the chat? Do I see any else? Is my chat frozen? Oh, there's the L's. Oh, there's a lot of L's. Whoopsie. Yeah, so Jagmeet said he wouldn't vote in favor of it. Then he said he would. Then he said he wouldn't. And now he voted in favor of it. So for those that are tuning in, what we are watching right now is the collapse of Canada. We're watching, this is for the GST tax break for 60 days. They're voting on it.
Voting period has ended. Let's see
what the tally is.
If members were unable to vote due to technical difficulties,
Chances are it got passed.
The chair will recognize them.
Recorded as yay.
Ms. May Sanych-Gofan.
Dude, is May drunk? I want whatever May's having.
Anyone else?
The table will now compile the results.
She got that Bailey's in her eggnog.
Yeas pour 177, 177. Nays contre 148, 148.
I declare the motion carried.
177 to 148. Yes, son of a gun. You were almost right. Okay, so we get a GST
The honourable member from London
tax break for 60 days.
Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It looks like.
I believe if you seek it, you will find unanimous consent for the following motion, that notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice, the House now proceed to statements by members, followed by oral questions, and that the usual allotment of time be accorded for each rubric. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. Carried. Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. It being 2:24, pursuant to order made earlier today, the House will now proceed to statements by members, followed by oral questions. The honourable member from Surrey Newton.
Well, there you go.
Speaker,
We got 60. Oh, for crying out loud, chat. Don't say it.
Pakistani Canadian
Don't say it, chat. We've got 60 days of no GST. For those that are just tuning in, that's what they voted for. Someone says it's over. Hey, I'll say this one time. You're not allowed to say that. That's my thing. Only I get to say it's over.
And democracy, Khan inspires millions.
60 days, no GST. There you go. It's official.
Despite political persecution, his leadership has fueled a movement for unity, accountability, and electoral fairness. His supporters continue to advocate for human rights and democracy. Canada must stand in solidarity with people of Pakistan who continue to stand up for their rights and freedoms. Ongoing human rights violations cannot be ignored. We must act now to demand justice.
Yeah, I muted the mic. What are you going to do about it?
Prevent
What are you going to do about it? You're going to sign a petition?
The honourable member from St. James, Assiniboia Headingley.
To recognize the important work of the Bruce Oak Recovery.
Stop saying it's over. That's my thing. You're not allowed.
There is a non-profit residential treatment facility located in Winnipeg, founded by Scott and Ann Oak. It provides addiction treatment and recovery services to individuals struggling with substance abuse disorders. And with a 57% success rate, the center works. I recently spoke with Shane Sturvey-Highfield. Shane struggled with addiction since youth, but thanks to the center and his own determination, he will be 3 years sober in December. He has his son back, and he has a good job working for Manitoba Hydro. Success breeds success, and so Scott Oak has now broken ground on a second center in Winnipeg, the Ann Oak Recovery Center, named for his late wife. Treatment saves lives. Conservatives won't give up on those who are struggling with addictions. Common sense conservatives will stop taxpayer-funded drugs and put that money into treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free.
The honourable member for Vimy. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in celebration of Lebanese Heritage Month, which pays tribute to Lebanese culture and its incredible contributions to Canada with its varied traditions, delicious cuisine, and remarkable contribution to our economy and more. Canadians of Lebanese origin have enriched our society for over 140 years, beginning in Montreal. Today, there are over 200,000 Lebanese Canadians, including 8,000 in my riding of Vimy.
Difficult circumstances and journeys of many Lebanese families who sought new beginnings in Canada, including the challenges of conflict in their homeland. Their courage, determination, and success in Canada inspires us all, and we are grateful for them. Together, let's honor this heritage and our Lebanese Canadian fellow citizens, but also let us all wish and pray that a permanent peace takes a firm hold in Lebanon.
The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patres Verchères. I'd like to pay tribute to the 50th anniversary of La Ressource Corner Store, founded in 1974 by André Desroches, who also founded the Business People's Association in Boucherville. This family business, over the years, became a true institution in Boucherville. La Ressource is much more than a simple corner store where you get milk or a bag of chips or some beer. 25 years ago, they were groundbreakers in stocking their shelves with terroir products, local products, and microbreweries products. So going into there is like going into Alibaba's cave. You can choose beers there like you would choose wine at the liquor store. And with Frédéric Desroches, La Ressource is now in its third generation of owners, and it is as involved and committed to the community as it was under his grandfather. Congratulations on 50 years, and long live La Ressource.
The only thing that I've read in recent memory is a celebratory post from a Ford MPP celebrating tearing out bike lanes in the city of Toronto by saying that it's going to make it safer for people on bikes. Where's the data? Really? Let's be clear. Bike lanes save lives. If someone has a problem with their design or their location, take it to our mayor or city councillors. That's why we elect them. It's time that we look at charter cities and how to better protect our cities from this kind of overreach. I ran to make sure that our federal government was a strong partner to the City of Toronto, and we are. Strong partners don't roll over each other's toes. The Ford decision is going to cost lives. It's going to cost taxpayers. It's going to take away an affordable way to get around our city, and it's going to add to traffic. How's that for a lump of coal for the holidays? Bah humbug. So let's stand up for the City of Toronto. Let's stand up for charter cities.
This is boring. I'm going to read off some super chats. How about that?
The Honourable Member from Miramichi Grand Lake.
I'm the proud nephew of Tony Sturgeon. Tony's recent passing brings a deep sadness.
Joey Crawford, thanks for the 2.
With major change.
Jasper, start the stream.
Tony leaves behind the love of his life, Aunt Christy, and daughter
I did it just for you.
Isla. Our family will be forever grateful that Tony found someone as wonderful as Christy to share.
Nexera with the 20.
Tony's love for Christy and his daughter.
Tug Meat seems to enjoy ruining Canada, not even bothering to ease the pain, as we're forced to endure it.
And was always excited to spend time with his grandchildren. Toronto Maple Leaf fans are loyal for obvious reasons.
Day Esports, welcome to membership.
But fewer
Next row at 5.
Uncle Tony. We shared this passion, and it returns.
Band Vic 7875 with the hell.
Tony leaves behind a great legacy of 2 beautiful daughters, their children and families, a lifetime of good humor.
Next row at the 20.
Memories will hold close forever.
FYI, Tug Me won't vote non-conference today. He supports Trudeau unless 50-plus liberals join. The bloc, cons independence, no early election will happen. Don't expect one before March. I think you only need 14 votes in addition to the bloc and the Conservatives.
Canadians live with ALS. One is a constituent. Matthew Brown's courageous battle over the years.
Nancy with the 1399 saying, Jasper, Trudeau will sabotage Pierre every step of the way because Trudeau knows it's over.
ALS Action Canada
Nancy,
organize an effort
you're not allowed to say it's over.
Living with ALS.
Only me.
Family members, their supporters. In fact, supporters that include members of the NHL alumni. In support specifically of Mark Curtin. Mark Curtin is a former Toronto Maple Leaf. Played for the
Michael
Red Wings, the
Tessier.
Canucks. He had a very
Michael Tessier with the 2 saying,
shared with us his efforts to
I hope PP runs all over Trudeau. Go Pierre.
An effort that in less than 1 year has generated more than $1 million in support of awareness and for research.
No doubt.
It's efforts like that that inspire us, across party lines in fact. As chair of the ALS All-Party Caucus, I want to do more, and I know members in all parties feel that way. We will continue to advocate for people like Matt, for people like Mark, for the 3,000-plus
Looney, no message. Thank you.
ALS constituents, Canadians, we're with them.
Jim Smith, a.k.a. Cod Snapper, the 279, saying, axe attack, stop the crime, build the homes, and fix the budget.
The Honourable Member for Alfred Pallon. Mr. Speaker, with the holidays fast approaching,
Ryan
taking decisive action,
Heinrichs
Canadians can
with the
celebrate
membership.
with
There is no
family and
250.
friends
Trudeau axed
without
that, so there
having
would be
to worry
no
about the high
confidence
costs
vote.
of the holidays.
So there would be no
We're
non-confidence
putting more
vote.
money back into the pockets of Canadians with the new GST
Oh,
exemption
shit.
starting December 14th.
So did I just spend $250 of my own money on this jacket?
Restaurant meals, alcoholic beverages, Christmas trees, and much more will be GST exempt. This will help constituents of Alfred Pellant
Oh, no, that's not good.
Canadians enjoy the holiday
I
festival
thought I got a free jacket.
and support local businesses and keep more
Andre
of their money. Will the Leader of the
Chocolascu
Opposition
with a 2 saying Yves Francois,
some slack
and he's a
so
wuss
they can put the needs of their
for blocking me
communities
on
ahead of
X.
his
I
political
think that's illegal. I don't think
by
federal
supporting
politicians
this plan,
can block
which
you on
helps
X.
local businesses and families. Or
Peter Townsend
will he
with the 10.
continue
It's time the Canadian government starts
silence
putting Canada
and
first. It's
stand
time
in
to
the
take
way
back
of
our country.
progress at
Canada first
every
2025.
turn.
The honourable member from Langley Aldergrove.
After 9 years of this NDP
Next row with the 10. Tug meat is just going to keep tugging on Trudeau's meat. What the hell is going on? Guys, keep it clean.
Liberal Prime Minister's radical catch and relief
Nasty Dasty with the 2. Any thoughts on making your own Discord
streets.
channel?
Our worsening
I've got
public
one.
record, safety record has been
called House
made
of Canada.
evident by a recent Fraser
Actually, a pretty big
Institute study
Discord channel.
comparing our crime stats to the USA.
Big Nasty
Well, the numbers
Barbecue.
are in.
Welcome to the membership.
Violent crime is up in Canada and now exceeding
Appreciate that,
the
guys.
United States by 14%. And then there's property crime. Also,
All the super chats are going towards funding the cost of this jacket. I thought I was getting $250 from the government.
be proud of. You know, Mr. Speaker,
Whoops.
we used to be proud of our public safety record. We used to think of it as one of our distinguishing features, something that was the source of national pride. Well, no more. Canadians deserve to feel safe in their communities. It's time for a common sense conservative government that is going to focus on public safety and bring back safe streets. Thank you.
The honourable member from Ottawa Centre.
Speaker, I rise today to remember Robert Smythe, a true pillar of Centretown who passed away on November 15th. For over 50 years, Robert dedicated his life to preserving the character and history of our community. As the founding editor of the Centretown Buzz, Robert captured the stories and struggles of our neighborhood with passion and care. He shared downtown Ottawa's history and architecture in a way that brought it to life, championing the preservation of not just heritage buildings, but also the modernist and brutalist structures that reflect our city's evolution. He was a tireless advocate for affordable housing, a community builder, and a passionate pedestrian who knew every corner of Centretown. His memory will forever echo through downtown.
The corporal with the 250 saying here's 250 pennies to help with the cost of it.
Our community. May Robert rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
The honourable member from Saskatoon West.
That's pretty funny.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years, the NDP Liberals are not worth the cost. Taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. And now they've broken Canada's immigration system. Conservatives have learned there are over 3
That's
million
really funny,
in
actually.
Canada that need to leave by December of next year, and the government does not have a plan. When we pressed the minister on this at committee, he simply shrugged his shoulders and said he expected people to leave voluntarily. At the same time, he also expects asylum claimants to grow. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. The facts are, student demonstrators have said they will not leave voluntarily, and asylum claims are growing. But the NDP Liberal government hopes this problem will just go away. Well, hope is not a management plan. The truth is, the NDP Liberals have no plan to ensure these 3 million temporary residents actually leave Canada. They don't have a way to know if they've left. They won't even prevent them from staying. They won't stop them from claiming asylum. They won't even control our borders. Simply put, the NDP Liberals broke our immigration system and don't know how to fix it. Mr. Speaker, where is the plan?
The honourable member from Brandon Souris.
Speaker, more and more
Hey, just a reminder, folks, if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys before we begin to smash the like button and subscribe. It does help grow the channel and help push the live stream out further.
Tariff on Canada's already fragile economy, the NDP Liberal coalition continues to defend their harmful carbon tax, a tax that costs the average person in Manitoba $693 and over $900 in some other provinces. No matter what the NDP Liberals say, the independent parliamentary budget officer made it clear the carbon tax makes most Canadians poorer. Yes. Unfortunately, the NDP leader doesn't care. Instead of voting with Conservatives to express non-confidence in this government and trigger an election, he is focused on securing his pension, and is prepared to quadruple the carbon tax. Okay. It's time to let Canadians choose a strong Prime Minister who will defend our economy.
Thanks, James, for smashing the like button.
A carbon tax election.
Daniel, is this live? Sure is.
The honourable member for Vancouver Granville.
Mr. Speaker, our government knows Canadians work hard and that many are still feeling just barely more comfortable with their finances. That's why last week we introduced the new Working Canadians Rebate, a tax-free payment of $250 that will go directly to more than 18 million Canadians. If you worked in 2023 and earned up to $150,000, this rebate is for you. Whether it's to help pay bills, buy groceries, or save for the future, this is real support for Canadians who work hard every day to meet their needs and their families. This rebate is designed to
I am Sully with the 250 saying
to give them a helping
jacket
hand
funds.
When they need it most.
Tug me.
In addition to the tax,
I'd pay $250 for an election. I think a lot of people would.
Snacks and children's clothing. Our government is providing Canadians with significant savings.
I'd also spend $250 of your money for an election.
Let's go get it. Let's get to it. I hope all MPs will.
Oh wait, no, of my own money, right?
Boyle Street, Bissell Center, TWOW Outreach Collective, 4B Harm Reduction, Water Warriors, Smile Yeg, Bear Claw, Beaver Hills House, Hope Mission, and Reach Edmonton. These are the names of the frontline organizations in Edmonton helping our neighbors survive. Houselessness is a crisis in Edmonton. Over the past few weeks, 4 people have already frozen to death. Things are so bad that last winter, over 100 people living on the streets lost a limb due to frostbite. The majority of these are Indigenous. These harrowing statistics, Mr. Speaker, put the work of Edmonton's local organizations into focus. Compassionate, understanding care, supportive housing for those who need it most, wraparound services that go far beyond just putting a roof over people's heads. But these organizations need help. I urge the government to work with provincial and municipal partners to ensure that the people who support Edmonton's most vulnerable have the resources they need. Together, Mr. Speaker, we can end poverty and we can end houselessness.
The honourable member for Salaberry-sur-Roi. Mr. Speaker, the University of Quebec in Montreal has just pulled off a masterstroke by appointing Pauline Marois as Chancellor, another historic first for the woman who was the first woman.
Next row with 20 saying the petition website change has a stop muting the mic petition.
For Quebec, Ms. Marois says what
so Jasper will stop muting his mic.
Education,
P.S. Still studying for my LSAT.
Difference. And that she
did. You changed your username.
The network of public childcare centers. She made a major contribution to Quebec women achieving one of the highest employment rates in the world. At a time when UQAM is facing new challenges with a role to play in revitalizing the Latin Quarter and ambitions for a faculty of health sciences, she who describes education as a pillar for any nation wishing to grow is the right person in the right place. Bravo, UQAM, bravo, Ms. Marois, and long live the Chancellor.
The honourable member for Flamborough-Glanbrook.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of these Liberals, life has never been so unaffordable. Now with Canadians struggling and his party languishing in the polls, the Prime Minister comes up with this 2-month temporary tax trick. Even his own MPs are fed up.
We'll know more about a vote of non-confidence after question period. That's when all the big stuff is happening.
Consequences for speaking out. He told the Toronto Star, quote, "It says a lot about our government is at this point right now, and it says a lot about some of the shackles that have been put around MPs," unquote. The Prime Minister
Gaming Bro TV
dares to disagree.
With the 279 saying when is the Trudeau voted on confidence?
It's a 2-month.
So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening after question period.
The carbon tax.
So either
no wonder
leave and come back or stick around for the full thing.
Calls this plan incomprehensible. Common sense Conservatives will axe the tax.
Stormy Magic with accusing coffee funds. Thanks, Stormy. That's going to the jacket fund, though. I just spent money I thought the government was giving me.
The honourable member for St. John's East.
Pierre's there.
And whiskers on kittens.
Pierre's sitting next to Melissa Lantzman. He just opened up his laptop.
Books and newspapers tied with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Restaurant meals and crisp apple strudels. Snacks and candy and schnitzel with noodles. Toys and board games and the joy that they bring. These are a few of my favorite things. And these things will be exempted from GST starting December 14th, Mr. Speaker. This tax break will give Canadians more money in their pockets during the holidays, a time when the costs go up for many families. When the dog bites, when the CPC stings, I simply remember my favorite things, and soon will be exempt from GST. The good news for Canadians, Mr. Speaker, I encourage members opposite to vote in favour of this tax break and let Canadians have more of their hard-earned money.
Oh, are we starting? Oral questions. Questions on. Honourable Leader of the Opposition to be next Prime Minister Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
The Prime Minister is weak, and he's lost.
He sure is.
Of our borders. He opened Roxham Road, and he kept it open a year after the Americans offered to close it. He invited at least 700 foreign students by implicitly promising that they would be able to stay here permanently and who will now have to leave. And he lost 500,000 people. What is his plan to reestablish order at the borders and prevent American tariffs?
Man, Pierre, go where are the Liberals?
Minister of Public Service.
There's no one there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As our colleague knows very well, the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have with any other country when it comes to security and when it comes to the economy. We work very well with the Americans, and we have for many years now, for many decades. And he also knows very well that 18 months ago, we signed a new third-party agreement, which the United States have celebrated since then, and which are going to bring back to the attention of our colleague. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Since the Prime Minister enjoys invading provincial jurisdiction, he's lost control of his own jurisdiction. He is incompetent when it comes to federal jurisdiction, like borders. It's the most important federal jurisdiction. In fact, now the provincial premiers have lost confidence in this Prime Minister. The Premier of Quebec is sending Quebec's provincial police force to defend the borders. Alberta's Premier is doing the same. Ontario's Premier is saying exactly the same things. How can we trust this Prime Minister? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Our colleague
Look at Karina Gould and our RBF.
Trust and jurisdiction. I answered this question.
Look at the immigration minister. He looks like he's panicking.
He can control, Mr. Speaker. He could ask for his security clearance so that he could protect his own caucus. He's not able to protect himself and his own caucus. And that's an issue of trust, Mr. Speaker. The trust of parliaments and the trust of Canadians depends on the ability of
Melanie Jolie looks like she's thinking about Trudeau's
his
cock.
agenda and to ask for a security clearance.
Yes, caucus. Sorry, I had something in my throat.
This weak Prime Minister has lost control. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of our borders. And now we're facing massive threats to our economy. Right now, there are as many as 500,000 people here illegally. There are 700,000 students who came here with the implicit promise they'd be able to stay forever. And now they're being told they have to leave with the temptation that they might head south for the much stronger economy than we have here, which would provoke a massive retaliatory tariff. So what's the plan to reverse all the damage the Prime Minister's done?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of thousands of people come to this country every year and then leave. They're called tourists. Hundreds of thousands of people come here as temporary residents, and then they leave. Some become permanent residents. There is a plan to achieve that. They will migrate into permanent residency, but not all can stay here. And when they refuse to do so, they will be removed. But you can't make this up, Mr. Speaker.
Will they be deported?
The member opposite, the leader of the opposition, is doing with the member of Edmonton Millwoods is going around to these people, pandering to them, promising them to have visas and promising not to deport them. That is highly irresponsible and it's incompetent.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that member hallucinates almost as badly as his weak leader, who refuses to stand and answer for his own border failures. Let's look at his record. He opened Roxham Road. He kept it open for a year longer than the Americans required. He put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to Canada," inviting people to come here illegally. According to that minister's department, there are 500,000 people here illegally, all of whom could be tempted to go south of the border, provoking a massive retaliatory response. So once again, what's the plan to fix what he broke?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Speaker, we'll tweet out the video of him pandering to people, entertaining false hope, promising visas to everyone, promising they won't get deported. That's highly incompetent. Worse than that, Mr. Speaker, is he's refusing to get his security clearance. That is irresponsible for any purported leader of this country, any responsible person in politics. He needs to grow a pair, get the briefing.
Uh-oh, he's going to get in trouble for that. Yeah, there you go, House Speaker. Cut his finger off. Rip his tongue out. Rip his tongue out. Peel his fingernails off. They muted the mic. God damn it! They muted the mic. You son of a bitch. His workaround for my petition is he doesn't mute it. He does a gang signal with that.
A large flexibility that Speaker gives, of course, to the language that's used in here. But I think that might be beyond the border. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister if he could just withdraw those words.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw those words. On a day like this, I would say all flannel and no axe.
All flannel and no axe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, once again shows the erratic, out-of-control government we have.
They need a mental institution.
His minister is hiding from questions. His minister is losing control of his words and his mind. This is a government that is falling to pieces. The Prime Minister has lost control of the border, lost control of immigration, lost control of our finances, and now lost control of his caucus, who are saying that they've been intimidated into voting in favor of his tiny tax trick. He's lost control, but he's holding on to power.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the member is talking about. On this side of the House, we can have conversations, we can have debates, and we don't get shut down from speaking like the members opposite, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, let's talk about today. We are moving forward with a GST cut for every single Canadian. And what have we heard from the Leader of the Opposition? He's opposed to tax cuts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he's all talk, no walk. He's not there for Canadians. On this side of the House, we're going to support Canadians and let our members have debates and conversations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's pretty lame.
Order.
Yo, today's a zoo. The closer we get to the holidays, the crazier this gets.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. For weeks now,
just a reminder, folks, if you haven't yet already, I'd appreciate if you guys smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.
That they've just come back with the condescension that they're so well known for, that they have a plan. But listen, yesterday the Prime Minister announced to his colleagues, the premiers, that he was going to do what the Bloc has been suggesting for a week now, increase resources at the border. You know, up to last night, there was no plan and there were no resources at the border. So why do the Liberals always have to wake up at the last possible minute? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our colleague knows very well that the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have when it comes to security, economics, and the border. And that's why for many decades now we've worked well and actively with the Americans, and we've done that in recent years, particularly under Mr. Trump's administration. Mr. Trudeau, the Prime Minister, had an excellent meeting yesterday with the premiers. And it's on the basis of ongoing collaboration that we will deal with the issues raised in that conversation. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Well, better late than never, the Liberals have finally realized they need to increase resources at the border, but they're still unable to tell us exactly when, how much, and how. And that's really serious because in just a couple of months, Donald Trump is going to impose tariffs on our entire economy. They only have tariffs left to fix the leaky border. And until last night, they continued to claim they didn't think there was a problem. Now that they've finally seen the light, can they please explain what the details of their plan are? The Honourable Minister of Global Affairs. Thank you.
I don't even care what she's got to say. Put an L in the chat.
Borders are very important, and it's in the interest of the Americans that they be protected. It's the interest of Canadians that they protected. And that's why we are working together on this question. I had a conversation with Premier Legault this morning, and I also spoke with Quebec's International Relations Minister. I've also had the opportunity to speak with a number of influential Republican and Democrat senators in the United States who are all allies so that we can work together to make sure that our two countries are protected. The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie.
Where is Jagmeet?
As we see every Christmas when things get going again, the Liberals woke up just the other day and said, hey, we're going to send out $250 checks. But the NDP noted that they forgot a lot of people, seniors, persons with disabilities, people who aren't able to work. The Liberals panicked, and so they pushed that measure back. But, you know, the real question here is, are they going to fix their measure so that they can help people who really need it? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, today is a great day, Mr. Speaker, because we are going to be voting with the support of the NDP for a tax holiday for all Canadians, including seniors. And we'd like to thank them because on the other side of the House, what we're seeing is a Grinch who's going to stay a Grinch and who doesn't want to vote for a tax holiday. So I'd like to thank the NDP because they have a heart like we do for all Canadians, but we're going to continue working with them to make sure that we support all Canadians across the country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Victoria.
But they're not supporting all Canadians. The Liberals are letting Canadians down. Almost everyone is cutting back. Life is expensive, and that is especially true for students, seniors, and people with disabilities. And the Liberals' plan? Excluding them from the $250 rebate. Even the Liberals' own MPs think this is absurd. And the Conservatives, they want to give tax breaks to billionaires like Galen Weston, but won't give a tax break to everyday Canadians. When the Conservatives show you who they are...
The NDP just said that the tax break won't do anything for Canadians.
Rebate, yes or no?
The rebate won't do anything for Canadians, but they voted in favor of it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. And, you know, we introduced for the first time...
Am I losing my mind, or does that make absolutely no sense?
Benefit. You know, my brother has a disability. Ours is the first government that has put in place direct help for people with a physical disability. Mr. Speaker, the $250 check that we're going to send out, it's a check that we want to send out to workers. And coming from a party that has always claimed to stand up for workers, it seems a bit ironic that they're against it. That having been said, we think that 1 million seniors who work will have access to that check, and also persons with disabilities who are working, Mr. Speaker.
Then I have the Honourable Member from Thornhill.
After
After doubling the cost of housing, adding an inflationary carbon tax to everything that Canadians buy and giving us the highest levels of debt in the G7, the Prime Minister's plan is a temporary, tiny 2-month tax trick. But not even small businesses are fooled. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says that only 4% of small businesses expect a sales boost because of the latest last-ditch effort for the Prime Minister to save his own job. If he's so sure about his plan, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide? Right.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
With respect, the member ought to look at what the Retail Council of Canada has said on the matter, what Restaurants Canada has said on the matter as well, Mr. Speaker. Small business owners in my community across the country will benefit as a result of this tax cut. It's exactly what it is, a tax cut for workers, a tax cut for families. What's also surprising, Mr. Speaker, and I just heard the name, they talked about Aaron O'Toole. That's exactly right. He put this initiative on the table in the summer of 21. We're supporting it now. You know who else supported it? The Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker. He reposted a tweet from Aaron O'Toole at that time, but doesn't want to support it now, Mr. Speaker.
The Liberals are so boring.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, this isn't a tax cut. It's a distraction before a much, much bigger permanent tax hike. Even his own Liberal MPs are now opposing this. The member from Hamilton East Stony Creek says that he was threatened with, quote, consequences if he voted against it. Rather than threatening his own MPs, muzzling them like he's accused others of doing, we have a weakened Prime Minister terrified of facing Canadians. So if he's so sure about his own leadership, if he's so sure about his own plan, why won't he allow his own MPs to have a free vote on this one today?
There you go.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to
leave it up to Canadians.
Construction communities.
Workers going for groceries, Mr. Speaker, who want to eat out, who want to buy gifts during Christmas, Mr. Speaker. That's who's on our mind, Mr. Speaker. Families who want to buy diapers for their kids, who want to buy kids' clothes. That young family who's excited about a new child coming into the family, Mr. Speaker. Car seats are expensive. There's a tax savings on that too, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition supported this initiative in 2021, but doesn't want to now because it's a Liberal initiative. Will the real Pierre Poilievre stand up in this House of Commons?
Well, I guess they're making life better for us for 60 days, so we should vote for them, right?
Member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Let's go, Jestrage. Oh. What's going on?
Sorry, I did not hear the honourable member, and I'm going to ask members to, if members were able to hold their voices unless recognized by the speaker, it'd be easier for the speaker to hear a statement. The honourable member apparently had mentioned the name of another honourable member. I'll ask the honourable member to just rise and use the name of...
It's an honest mistake, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw.
The honourable member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Turning temporary 2-month tax tricks won't save this desperate Prime Minister. After doubling housing costs, doubling the national debt, doubling food bank usage, now he's blaming Canadians for not feeling the vibe of this pricey gimmick. Now he's even threatening his own Liberal MP from Hamilton East Stony Creek for not supporting this vote-buying scheme. Instead of threatening MPs to take cents off Skittles, call a carbon tax election now so common-sense Conservatives can axe the tax for good.
Taking cents off Skittles. Yo, I like that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I know the Leader of the Opposition knows a thing or two about threatening his own MPs, because if they don't speak in 3-word slogans, we never hear from them again. But, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that on this side of the House, we are excited to deliver a tax cut for Canadians. And for the mom who has to buy diapers and groceries and a car seat, this is meaningful for her, Mr. Speaker. Who it's not meaningful for is the Leader of the Opposition, because when it comes to supporting everyday Canadians, he would rather support himself than give them a break over the holidays. That's so disappointing, and Canadians across this country are disappointed in him. Thank you.
For 60 days. You people are insane.
Calgary, Forest Lawn.
The only thing they're cutting is moms that have to cut down on the nutritious food that they can give to their kids and sending them into food bank lines. And after this temporary tax trick is done, they're going to jack up the carbon tax on April the 1st, making everything more expensive. And anyone who doesn't believe in this Prime Minister's radical plan, he threatens them with consequences. This inflationary vote-buying scheme will add another $6 billion to this Prime Minister's growing deficit. Instead of taking chump change off chocolates, call a carbon tax election now so we can axe the tax for good.
Permanent tax. Permanent tax cut.
Government House Leader in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the GST that we are proposing to remove is going to be removed on essential items like groceries, like children's clothing, like diapers.
So do it forever.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the honourable colleague has children, but if he did, he would know just how expensive those items are for Canadians. And for Canadians who have to buy these essential items, this tax cut makes a difference, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand why Conservative members of Parliament don't get that, but I hope they change their mind and support this measure because it's
Ask the honourable member from South Shore.
Make it permanent. Why are you putting relief on 60 days? That's insane.
South Shore St. Margaret's to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Lévis. The Prime Minister is desperately trying to create a distraction, Mr. Speaker. He's trying to trick voters with a 2-month tax trick, but everyone can see through what he's doing. Earlier today, somebody came to my riding office to criticize what the Prime Minister is trying to do. This government is uniting Canadians against them, Mr. Speaker. Will they give Canadians election so that they can elect common sense Conservatives to give hope back to Canadians?
There you go. Pierre's standing up. He likes that one.
The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development. Once again, Mr. Speaker, today is a great day, Mr. Speaker. Canadians across the country, Quebecers, are going to have access to a tax holiday. I don't understand how my colleague from across the way doesn't want to support Canadians. Their hidden program, Mr. Speaker, is to make cuts to housing, among other things, Mr. Speaker. It's very clear that they don't want to support Quebecers. They don't want them to have a tax cut at the toughest time of the year, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Lévis. Listen, Conservatives will cut taxes and axe the GST on new homes. That'll mean savings up to $50,000 on the purchase of a new home, and it'll create 30,000 new housing starts, Mr. Speaker. That's a real idea to bring a long-term solution to problems created by this government. Canadians are smart. They can see what's going on. They're going to pay the price for this government. That's why we need elections now, Mr. Speaker. I will ask the Leader of the Official Opposition, please, to sit down. The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honestly, it's difficult to accept that question from the Conservative Party because in her province, in Quebec,
imagine they only cut the GST on new home house or new home sales,
new affordable housing units
for like
with a major
60 days
with $1.8 billion. That's a successful agreement that's in place now. The Conservative Party's position is to cut that agreement, to cut this program that's going to build affordable housing. That's not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. It's not an acceptable position, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Shefford. The government tabled its bill on the GST and set aside the $250 checks that they promised to just about everyone except for seniors and except for those who are the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
They should take this opportunity to take a step back and seriously ask themselves what their priorities are. This government is ready to spend $6 billion to buy votes, but they're refusing to improve OAS for 65 to 74-year-old seniors. That would fix the injustice that they're suffering from right now, and it would cost 2 times less than this gift. Will they give royal sanction to C319 instead of trying to buy votes? The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development for the Regions. Mr. Speaker, all I'm seeing today is, it's not boat vying. I want to make sure that Quebecers and Canadians have the opportunity to buy essential products during the holiday season. What I don't understand is how the Bloc Québécois can't support a measure that's going to directly help not only all Quebecers, but also seniors. Mr. Speaker, today I got an email from a constituent saying the Bloc just lost my vote because I'm insulted by the way that they are blackmailing us.
I mean blackmailing.
The member for Shefford. Now, this is, becoming a habit for this government, forgetting seniors. They're saying, look, we've done enough for them, so nothing else, too bad. But there are seniors who won't even be able to benefit from the GST holiday because all of their income is going to cover their basic needs. The government could act if they're able to give $250 to just about everyone, just to show how generous they are. Well, then they'd be able to spend $6 billion. And if they're able to spend $6 billion, to buy votes, well, they could invest $3 billion in OAS instead of giving money to lots of people who don't need it. Why not simply improve OAS? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Where was the Bloc when we increased pensions for seniors over 75? They voted against it. Where was the Bloc when we increased the guaranteed income supplement by 10%? And, that's, for the most vulnerable seniors. Where were they for the Canada Dental Program? They voted against seniors in all those cases, Mr. Speakers. Where was the Bloc? Well, they simply voted against all those measures. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Well, it's pretty clear what Liberal values are. Giving money to a couple that makes $300,000 a year, but giving nothing to seniors. They think that that is fair. The Liberals said the Conservatives are marking political points by having no sense of social justice and no solidarity for those who are having a hard time making ends meet. So we should do the same thing. It must be working. If it works for them, it'll work for us. The government needs to get its values straight. On the one hand, there's their $250 check that no party here agrees with. And on the other side, there's C319, which would improve pensions for seniors, and all parties agree that it should be passed. Why aren't they making the right choice? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I would invite the Bloc Québécois to go speak to their constituents, to look them in the eyes, and every time they say that they want to increase pensions for seniors aged 64 to 75, but they should explain why they voted against all the measures for seniors in Quebec that we put in place. They didn't want the improved GIS. They didn't want the dental plan. They didn't want anything for seniors, Mr. Speaker. So they're saying one thing on the one hand, and they should say the same thing on the other hand.
The Honourable Member for Mission, Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, because the NDP Liberals are trying to fool Canadians with a 2-month tax trick, small businesses are being forced and are scrambling to reprogram their point-of-sales machines and to find the time and money to pay for these changes. It is a shame the Minister of Small Business knew and did not care that this tax trick would hurt the very businesses she purports to help. We all know an election is coming. Can we simply stop with the desperation and call for a carbon tax election today?
The Honourable Minister for Small Businesses.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member and his party can offer small businesses are slogans on repeat, cuts to programs that are essential, and cuts. So, Mr. Speaker, our tax break is not just good for small businesses, it's good for their customers. This tax break isn't just helping families, it's also supporting the entire community and boosting their
She really believes it
stores,
so much that she's got to read off a
and
script.
small businesses that power our local economy. CRA has provided further guidance on this today, which will help support small businesses, and small businesses can call the CRA hotline to get further support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, 40% of Canada's economy is tied to our relationship and trade with the U.S. But after 9 years, we have no softwood lumber deal. And what's happened? Tariffs have doubled, and they're set to double again if we have a first increase but a second if Trump gets his way and we don't fix the border. After 9 years, Mr. Speaker, we have lost 90,000 jobs in softwood lumber, 40,000 each in Ontario, Quebec alone. The last Prime Minister solved this in 79 days. It's been 3,311 days. Where's the plan for softwood lumber?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will always stand up for forestry workers and our lumber industry. We stood up for Canada when the U.S. imposed aluminum and steel tariffs on us. What did the Conservatives said? They urged us to back down and capitulate. When we renegotiated NAFTA back in 2018, we stood strong and protected Canada's economy, while the Conservatives asked us to capitulate. We have a proven track record when it comes to negotiating, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to protect Canadian workers and Canadian industry. Thank you.
The honourable member for
I don't want you to protect nothing. I want you out.
Canada, when the plan is to pile on taxes, make energy and production more expensive, and sideline our Canadian industry on the global stage. What kind of team has no game plan after 9 years, has lost 90,000 softwood lumber jobs, got kicked out of CUSMA negotiations, and sat on the sidelines when Mexico overcame Canada for the USA's #1 trading partner? But here's a Canada First plan. Axe the tax, scrap the cap on oil and gas production, and fix softwood lumber. Why doesn't the Prime Minister use that common sense Canada First plan?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, the U.S. is a very important partner to our economy and to our relationships with the rest of the world. When you talk about trade, we have $1.3 trillion of trade last year with the U.S., which is a record since we renegotiated NAFTA in 2018. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to be at the table with a Team Canada approach as we continue to protect Canadian businesses and workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I hate how they keep saying a Team Canada approach.
Ask the honourable member from Fort McMurray Cold Lake to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker. The honourable member for Nunavut.
Okaktitiyi, 3 First Nations children have died since January due to this government's non-compliance with Jordan's Principle. The Liberals are actively fighting against the Human Rights Tribunal's orders and allowing First Nations children to die while in care. There are over 40,000 Jordan's Principle requests in the backlog. Liberals are not even trying to fix this. When will the Liberals stop fighting First Nations children and uphold First Nations rights to care?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we care deeply about First Nations children. Jordan's Principle ensures that First Nations children can access the care they need when they need it, regardless of where they live. Since 2016, the ISC has funded approximately $7.8 million products, services, and supports for First Nations children. The number of requests has grown exponentially over the years, and we're increasing funding so ISC can meet the demand. All governments need to do their part to keep First Nations children safe, healthy, and supported.
The honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Here's the latest horrifying story involving the airline's mistreatment of people with disabilities. Air Canada failed to secure a brain cancer patient in a wheelchair. She fell out and was left bleeding and bruised. We're talking about a failure to protect people's safety and dignity. We're talking about a
So they care about people with disabilities, but people that are on disability are not
like these
getting this tax credit?
have seen zero action from this government. Either these Liberals don't think things in the air sector have gotten bad enough yet to act, or they simply don't care. Which one is it?
Good question. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. Mr. Speaker, this government takes accessibility very seriously, ensuring that all passengers are treated with dignity. In May, for example, we had a summit that listened and learned from those that have accessibility issues And of course, recommendations came out of those meetings to ensure that we work with the airlines and, quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, demand that they address the issues as the member has brought forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good answer.
The honourable member for Humber Valley Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, our government made an exciting announcement to support Canadians over this holiday season. Would the minister share...
The honourable member for Humber River Black Creek can start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, the government made an exciting announcement to support Canadians over this holiday season. Would the minister share more details about our government's plan to put more money in the pockets of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question. We know that Canadians need more support these days, and that is why we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, lifting hundreds of thousands of Canadian children out of poverty. We cut childcare costs by 50% to help families, and we cut taxes for small business. And now we are giving all Canadians a tax break. We're eliminating the GST on essential goods for 2 months to support Canadians through the holidays. This means groceries, this means children's clothes, and more will be tax-free, so Canadians will have more money in their pockets. Conservatives oppose this just as they want to cut all kinds of supports for Canadians. While they play political games, we are working for Canadians.
Tax cuts should be permanent.
Honourable member for
not 60 days.
Canada's 3 million temporary migrants do not appear poised to leave voluntarily. That's the headline from a major Canadian newspaper. The immigration minister naively expects that they'll leave voluntarily. Migrant advocates admit they have no such plans. This sets the stage for mass overstays and more illegal border crossings into the United States. This strains our relations with the newly elected U.S. administration, now threatening a 25% tariff if we don't secure our border. What is the Prime Minister's plan to enforce the laws and ensure that people who need to leave do so?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
First, Mr. Speaker, the members opposite can get their facts straight. They float around numbers, 3 million, 5 million. They actually don't know what they're talking about in response to their own order paper question. I hear them heckling me, but who they really should be heckling is the leader of the opposition, who is pandering to all these groups, promising visas to everyone and not to deport anyone. That's not responsible. He really needs to grow up if he's going to be responsible. Thank you.
And I ask the honourable member from Grand Prairie Mackenzie, please not to take the floor unless recognised by the Speaker. The honourable member from Calgary Shepherd.
Mr. Speaker, the minister had no answers at committee when I asked him the same questions. He doesn't know his numbers because he has no plan. It's really simple. The lack of a plan threatens the integrity of our immigration system. It risks significant diplomatic damage with this newly incoming U.S. administration. Are they deploying more police to the border? They don't know. Are they deploying advanced technology, and are they using it for border surveillance? They don't know. Are they going to use CBSA with more resources, more agents on the border? They don't know. YouTube videos aren't enough. Will the Prime Minister present a Made in Canada First plan that will make sure that everybody that's required to leave will actually do so?
Here. Well.
Order.
I guess you're not grown up enough, eh?
Oh my God. This is getting pretty nasty.
Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it seems the Conservatives are a little nervous about me responding, probably because I'm going to point out the fact that they cut over 1,000 jobs from CBSA. They were warned that their cuts would lead to more guns, more human trafficking, more drugs entering our border. But what did we do on this side of the House? We reversed those cuts. We invest in our police services. As a result, we've seen an increase of 600% more misrepresentation in investigations happening, and a decrease of migrants entering the border through the South by 50% because investments work.
Are they serious? Do they actually believe their own nonsense? Or are they clinically insane?
hear how nervous I am, Mr. Speaker. Well, after 9 years of incompetence on immigration, the Prime Minister has no plan to protect our borders. Imagine only 2 days before President Trump's threats, 16 people were arrested trying to cross our border illegally, and many have also crossed into the U.S. since the beginning of 2024. What's the Prime Minister's plan to put Canadians first, protect our borders and our jobs? The Honourable Minister of Global Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is no more important relationship than that of Canada and the U.S. worldwide. And that's why we always have to invest more in this relationship when we know that Canadians want to make sure we protect their interests. And that's why, for us, the border is very important, as is security, as it is for the Americans as well. I have been very involved recently, speaking with my counterparts, also with several U.S. senators. And, of course, we do have a very good plan, because it's in the interest of Canadians. The Honourable Member from Mégantic-Les-Sables. Mr. Speaker, we're here because they have created chaos and disorder in our immigration system at the borders. After 9 years, it's clear this Prime Minister is too weak to face Donald Trump. In 2016, he opened up our borders to the world after promising the Canadian dream. All of these people have to go back to their homes. How will he ensure that none of them will immigrate illegally to the U.S.? There's no plan to protect our borders. When will he trigger an election so we can have a strong leader that will put Canada first?
Man, that's here to stick.
Honourable Minister. Thank you,
Canada
Mr. Speaker.
first. I love
Mr.
it.
Speaker, we know full well we have to protect our border, and that's why, with the Biden administration in the past, we were able to conclude a safe third country agreement. We will also reach an agreement with the future U.S. administration. It's in our interest and in theirs, and this government's as well. We have this experience with the Trump administration. So rather than doing petty politics on the backs of Canadians, we're going to work together, and it's together we'll be able to come out on top of this. The Honourable Member for Joliette. The GST vacation is a $1.6 billion gift to people who don't need it. It's a reward for spending. Low-income seniors won't see a big difference, nor will minimum wage workers or families who receive Christmas baskets. But it does pay off for those who have reservations at top restaurants or buy their New Year's Eve champagne by the case. How can the Liberals and the NDP subsidize the spending of the rich while abandoning those who are tightening their belts this Christmas? The Honourable Minister of Tourism. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member in a riding where people often, at the end of the month, have to go buy their food at Dollarama. So when they minimize the impact of the measures we're taking today on the wallets of Canadians and Quebecers, it means they don't understand people who live in a very vulnerable way. We want to give them a break, a tax break that will allow them to have a better holiday season. And I don't understand how the Bloc won't vote in favour of this measure. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Food isn't taxed, so it's not a good example. The GST vacation also puts our SMEs at a disadvantage. Walmart and Best Buy don't mind paying to have their systems adapted and the GST removed, but our small businesses can afford to lose thousands of dollars in adaptation or go through the headache of sorting out which products are taxed and which aren't. Some have told us that it's more profitable to close for 2 months. It's not our small businesses that should have to pay the price when the Liberals and the NDP want to buy votes. Will they at least compensate SMEs? The Honourable...
For small businesses.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, this tax holiday...
She's the small business MP.
Will help...
Yet she let her colleague
and also give
Brandy
small businesses
abuse small business grants
Canada
by
has said
pretending to be
this
Indigenous.
measure is a great victory for the restaurant industry, and it expects that our tax break will increase sales, which will bring in $1 million in additional revenue for restaurants. This tax break will help a greater number of people to go to small businesses, and which will boost revenue and our economy.
The honourable member from Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, a new study from the Fraser Institute has shown that that violent and property crime rates in Canada are exceeding those in the United States. In 2014, before this Prime Minister took office, crime rates were lowest. Now violent crime is up 43.8%, which is 14% higher than in the United States. Similarly, our property crime rates are up 27.5% higher than in the United States. When will this Prime Minister admit that he should abandon his failed soft-on-crime policies?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
While Conservatives use skewed data to talk down Canada, we're actually investing in the brave police who do this hard work every single day. And as a result of those investments, we're seeing massive success in our police services. For example, October 31st, the RCMP announced the largest, most sophisticated drug seizure with over 95 million of lethal doses of meth and fentanyl, because that's what investments make while Conservatives talk down Canada.
The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
Now that answer would suggest that these statistics are all in our head. Yet the data clearly reveals that
she's good.
Has become a
I'm glad she's getting some mic time.
Place under this Prime Minister. Since 2015, violent crime is up 50%, and gun crime is up 116%.
Those are numbers.
Since that has happened, we have seen no urgency from this Prime Minister. Where is the urgency? When will he admit that his dangerous soft-on-crime policies has made Canada unsafe, and now Canadians are paying the price?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's safe to say we don't want to know what's in that member's head. But on this side of the House, we are actually investing in the RCMP. We work with police right across this country, and as a result, we're seeing some of the largest drug and gun seizures in this country's history. Conservatives talk a big game, but what they did is they cut to the guns and gangs program to the RCMP. They cut resources at CBSA and our borders. And what did that do? That brought in drugs and guns into our country, and Conservatives made those cuts.
Shut the hell up. We're going to be taxed 25% because of these people.
Mr. Speaker, violent crime in Canada is over 14% higher than in the U.S. We learned this week in the media that a woman had been kidnapped, beaten, and strangled in Abitibi.
Holy crap.
This government has abandoned victims, fully backed by the Bloc, who voted for C5, a law that allows violent criminals to serve their sentences in front of Netflix. Bloc members will have to answer for their actions and explain why they've preferred to support criminals rather than victims. When's the election? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, let's talk about investment. What we did on this side of the House is to invest to protect Canadians, including Quebecers. We invested in border services. We've invested in scanners to keep our borders safe, particularly at the Port of Montreal. The results are as follows. What we saw in Quebec is a decrease of 42% in vehicle thefts. That's action to fight crime, to protect Canadians. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Dorval, Lachine, LaSalle. Mr. Speaker, our government believes that Canadians who work must benefit from support to allow them to face the rising cost of living. Last week, we announced the new Canadian Workers Rebate, which will provide a direct tax-free benefit to millions of Canadians. Can the Minister explain how this rebate will make a tangible difference in the lives of workers? Thank you. The The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
It's not making a difference.
And Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. It's a great day for Canadians because we are announcing a tax break for the holiday season to help families and workers, Mr. Speaker.
Dude, businesses are going to have to shut down
restaurants and
because it's so inconvenient.
Closing. It's incredible to hear the Conservative leader.
I was talking with my accountants. Every single accountant in Canada is so angry about this.
2 years ago himself, he was
because they have to update their entire systems
so hypocritical
before it kicks in and then update it again afterwards.
In my area,
it's so inconvenient to have a tax exemption for 60 days.
The honourable member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday at committee, the Environment Minister recklessly promised to quadruple the carbon tax despite American tariffs that will cripple our economy. He gleefully stated, "Of course, we're going to continue with the carbon tax." With 40% of our economy dependent on trade with the United States, he should have just said, "Of course, I'm going to kill our economy."
That's right.
He's done it before, he'll do it again. Why is this minister so hell-bent on vandalizing Canada's economy?
And why? The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, because of carbon pricing in Canada, it's generating $25 billion of investment every year in our economy, Mr. Speaker. It's putting more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians, and it's helping us reduce our emissions for the first time in our history.
Oh, God, shut up.
Conservative Party of Canada, they would let the planet burn, Mr. Speaker. They would bring the economy down. They would let Canadians down. Not on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. We're there for Canadians. We will fight climate change. We will support the economy. We will create good jobs for Canadians.
I'm going to go rev my Dodge 1500 right after this for fun.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister's radical environment minister is willing to drive Canada's economy into the ground with no remorse. The carbon tax will cost the Canadian economy $25 billion by 2030. In the face of 25% tariffs, the minister can do something. He can cancel his planned quadrupling of the carbon tax. If the minister is unwilling to protect our economy, will the Prime Minister at least allow Canadians to protect our economy and call a carbon tax election?
The Honourable
Make the tax cut permanent.
Order. The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
The Conservative Party of Canada, when it comes to many things, including climate change, is extremely reckless. This is the party that's let the people of Jasper down, Mr. Speaker. For 4 consecutive years, they invested nothing to protect Jasper from forest fires from 2011 to 2015. Zero hectares of fire removal, 0 hectares of mechanical removals to prevent forest fires. They let Jasper down. Now they want to let the Canadians...
No, you did, buddy.
Not on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
That park burned down because of you. Our national park burned because of you and your incompetence.
Order. The Honourable Member from Lakeland.
9 years of economic vandalism proves these NDP Liberals aren't worth the cost. The radical environment minister's own department now admits their carbon tax will cut $25 billion from Canada's economy in the next 6 years, but he doesn't care. He said they'll quadruple it anyway. Canadians already can't afford to eat or to heat, house or drive themselves. So with the threat of 25% crushing tariffs on Canadian goods, will the Liberals finally put Canada first and axe the tax for all for good so Canadians can actually afford to live?
I'd put some W's in the chat for that. That was good.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Energy.
I'm honestly not sure how Canadians can give any credence to anything that member and those folks over there say. That member on the other side of the House ran on a platform that included putting a price on pollution. It is the height of hypocrisy. At the same time, she and her colleagues are denying the science of climate change, and they are condemning our children to a future that is a terrible one indeed. From an economic perspective, they have no plan to build an economy that will actually create good jobs for our kids and our grandkids. It is absolutely shameful, the positions that they take.
Crimea River. Update your resume, big boy.
colleagues. The honourable member from Scarborough Agincourt.
Mr. Speaker, last year we announced a $471 million federal investment in Toronto through the Housing Accelerator Fund to unlock nearly 12,000 new homes over the next 3 years and over 53,000 over the next decade. A few weeks ago, the Conservative leader announced his plan to shut down home building by making dangerous cuts to federal housing investments. People in my riding of Scarborough Agincourt can't afford these kinds of Conservative housing cuts. Can the Minister of Housing update the House on how he is solving the housing crisis?
Can't afford it. They haven't even done anything. They're blaming Conservatives for being an opposition party.
I want to thank my colleague for
These people are so
the community
dumb.
he represents. Mr. Speaker, we are putting billions of dollars on the table to help cities cut red tape, to change their zoning practices.
I'm going to ask the honourable member, please, from Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou, to please not participate. He's not recognized by the chair. I'm going to ask the honourable minister to start from the top.
We know that it takes investments if we're going to solve the housing crisis. We put billions of dollars on the table to help communities cut red tape, to change their zoning practices, to speed up permitting so they can build more homes faster. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative response to this program, which is helping construction go up and rents come down, is to advocate for cuts to communities, including cuts in communities represented by 68 Conservative members of Parliament. Whoa. We are going to put money on the table to help cities build homes more quickly. It is a shame that Conservative members of Parliament won't even stand up for the communities that they represent to get their fair share of this important funding.
The honourable member from South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, the government's massive public sector pension plan surplus is so large that by law they have to draw on it. This surplus was created by contributions from both the employer and workers. Yet the Liberals continue to leave workers out and follow the former Conservative two-tier pension plan, which forces 100,000 public service employees to work for 5 years longer than their colleagues. When will the Liberals reverse this regressive plan and treat all workers fairly?
Hey, if you guys haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel.
Mr. Speaker, we obviously recognize the very important work done by the Federal Public Service. We want to make sure that we look into this matter very carefully as to where this money goes. It will go into the general accounts for the moment. We'll be discussing this with different parts of the government, including the unions, and we will come to the right decision. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good job.
The honourable member from Saanich, Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our raised with the Minister of Justice, Bill C-63. We finally see some movement. It's gone for pre-study to committee. Legal groups that have looked at this, many people have reached me that this four-part bill will help protect children from sexual predation online. If we look at parts 1 and 4, where we have large degrees of consensus, parts 2 and 3 remain problematic. But can the minister tell us what will he do to improve and expedite passage of this bill to protect our children and other vulnerable people from online sexual predators?
We already have quite a bit of laws around that, don't we?
And Attorney General.
I thank the member from Saanich Gulf Islands, who's often acts as the conscience of this chamber. What I would do is simply appeal to all parliamentarians. The issue of protecting kids from child sex predators should not be a partisan issue. Getting this bill into committee is of paramount importance for all of us who want to combat online sex predation. People who would take vulnerable children and spread revenge porn about them. If we all could just simply listen to Amanda Todd's mother, to Rehtaeh Parsons' mother, we can get behind this bill, get it to committee, get it off to the Senate, and protect children. That's what Bill C-63 is about. I hope everyone in this chamber can support it.
Isn't that just what's on the front, but everything else in that bill is like about censorship? Online censorship?
This brings us
Unless I'm mistaken.
The period provided for oral questions. Now it's time for the weekly question. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-Les-Érables. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in 9 weeks, the Government House Leader has actually managed to gain control of the agenda, and it only cost taxpayers $2 billion, $1 billion per day. I wonder if the honourable member has anything else to say about the tricks they will be announcing this week and next week. Would the government House Leader, or will the government House Leader do the right thing, the free thing, table the documents on the Liberal Green Slush Fund scandal? Even Richard Nixon ended up handing over the recordings of his scandal, after all. The Honourable Government House Leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not really going to thank my honourable colleague for that question, because it wasn't a very nice one, but I will answer it. I am pleased to announce that later today, we will be disposing of Bill C-78, a highly important Government of Canada initiative which will allow Canadians to save through a Canada-wide GST-HST exemption. Canadians will be able to buy basic goods such as groceries, snacks, and children's clothes tax-free.
Even if my honourable colleague doesn't understand or appreciate how important this is for everyday Canadians, I can assure him that we do as a government. We are listening to Canadians and responding to their needs and helping them get through a tough economic time by providing a tax break as we move into the holidays, even if the Conservatives don't want that support to go to Canadians. Furthermore, I would like to inform all honourable colleagues in the House that Monday, Tuesday and Thursday of next week shall be opposition days. Earlier this week, I shared a unanimous consent proposal with the opposition parties that would pause privileged debate so that the Conservatives and the NDP could have their opposition days next week. I hope that we can find agreement on this motion so that the House can debate and vote on the billions of dollars needed to fund the programs and services that Canadians rely on and depend on and expect us to be able to deliver as all parliamentarians for them into the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, whoa. We gotta talk about that. So from my understanding, from when Pierre froze government, he got five tokens, 5 opposition days. And it's up to her, Karina Gould, to do to appoint any of those opposition days whenever she chose. She done 2 of them. She did 2 already, right when Parliament resumed. Okay, right when Parliament resumed in the summer or after the summer break, she did 2 of them, and we saw 2 votes of non-confidence on those opposition days. Pierre can do as many as he wants. We've been waiting for the other 3, and she just announced sneakily right now, after question period, that all 3 of those tokens, all 3 opposition days are next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's huge. So in theory, Pierre can do a vote of non-confidence Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And the Conservative Party can introduce new bills Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So this is huge, folks. Next week is going to be insane. I hope I'm correct on all of this. Correct me down in the comments if you know more than what I do, but this is my understanding of what's going on. She's potentially doing it next week because the longer time goes on, the more the NDP is likely to vote in favor of non-confidence. She's trying to make sure that they don't have enough time. I'm getting relayed right now through text messages from somebody who knows a little bit more than me, all right, to gain Jagmeet's support. So that's why they're going to do it next week, because Jagmeet is at the end of his rope too, right? He's got to protect his brand and his likeness. So that's why she's doing it next week. This is big, folks. This is big. Next week's going to be huge. The biggest week. Next week is going to be the biggest week we've ever seen. All right, let's continue.
I would like to inform the House that the volume of earpieces will now be reset to 0.
Orders of the day, ordre du jour.
Ordre émanant du gouvernement, affaire émanante du gouvernement, reprise du débat sur une motion concernant les délibérations sur le projet de loi intitulé Loi concernant...
So they might not even be doing anything right now. They might just wait till next week.
Et sur l'amendement de Mme Larouche.
I'm just going to maybe ask the Sergeant at Arms to go check just on the outskirts. It looks like there's quite a bit of noise going on from there, and maybe it's just that the doors to the lobbies aren't closed, but I know that he's good to go and check.
Okay, we're going to have to play this out. They can still, the Conservatives can still, in theory, introduce a motion today.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Madam Speaker, I'll be sharing my time with the member from Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill. Having said that, Madam Speaker, you know, it was an interesting question period today, to say the very least, when we understand that the Conservative caucus, led by their mighty leader, has taken yet another flip-flop, Madam Speaker. One of great consequence, I would suggest to you. And I want to take the opportunity to explain why it is that we're here and why it is that I say we've seen this flip-flop. The reason why, Madam Speaker, there's a need for a motion is because the Conservative Party has made the determination that they will enter into an area that I would suggest to you is borderline contempt of Parliament, and ultimately prevented the government from being able to deal with a wide spectrum of issues that would have a positive impact for Canadians, Madam Speaker, as a direct result of their multi-million-dollar game for the personal benefit of the leader of the Conservative Party. So as a result, the motion that we are debating is necessary so that we can actually support Canadians, Madam Speaker, with the recent announcement that was made by the Prime Minister. And that is dealing in part with the issue of affordability.
Yeah, this guy's a moron.
Recognizing with the holiday season approaching, Madam Speaker, that an appropriate action that every member of this House can ultimately take is to support Canadians by voting in favour of a GST tax holiday on numerous products, Madam Speaker. It is a very powerful message collectively that every member can take to their constituents. I believe it's a wonderful idea. In fact, Madam Speaker, I've now had the opportunity to express my thoughts on this issue for the last number of days. Interesting fact came up today. It's important that people that are following the debate, especially through social media, when the leader of the Conservative Party downplays its significance and is very critical of what it is that we are doing in terms of providing this tax break, Madam Speaker. Very critical. The leader of the Conservative Party has made up his mind, and that's a powerful thing in terms of the Conservative caucus, Madam Speaker, because you'll recall what made national news last week was the manner in which the leader of the Conservative Party has absolute, total control over the Conservative members of Parliament. In fact, if you read what it is that members of Parliament and Conservatives are actually saying about the leader, let me recite a few of the statements, Madam Speaker, from the headline, which starts off by saying the leaders of the Conservative Party's office maintains tight control over what Conservative MPs say and do. And I quote from the article. And now keep in mind, this is Conservatives, this is MPs that are saying this, Madam Speaker.
Order. The honourable member Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Quorum, Madam Chair.
I will check if we have quorum.
Thanks.
Well, this is getting pretty interesting. I don't know what we're supposed to see something happen
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Government House Leader.
soon, but nobody's there.
My feelings are not hurt because I realize that particular member likes to call quorum when I'm actually speaking. I don't think he likes hearing the truth. And I think he needs to understand that he has members of his Conservative caucus that are out there and they're speaking. They're talking about a leader that goes around Canada saying that he's going to make Canada a free place. But that does not apply for the Conservative caucus, Madam Speaker. Here's what the story, here's what Conservative members are saying. Quote, after 2 years of Pierre Poilievre as their leader, many Conservative MPs say...
What is he talking about? I don't think he even knows what the hell he's talking
than they
about.
were before his arrival.
Another point of order, apology. The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
No apologies necessary to the Parliamentary Secretary, Madam Speaker. I think you'll find if you review his comments that that member is intentionally and inappropriately using the proper names of elected members of the House, which, as you know, is a violation of the standing orders. And while he interrupts me, he repeated his name on more than one time. He needs to withdraw it.
Yes. So I just want to remind members, all members know that they're not to use other members' names by their first or last name, only by their title or by their writing. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary with...
After 2 years of the leader of the Conservative Party as their leader, many Conservative MPs say they are much less free now than they were before his arrival.
All right, so if you're wondering what the hell is going on, you wouldn't be the only one. Right now, believe it or not, Ripley's, they are debating the tax break bill. And if it sounds like a bunch of malarkey and they're not really talking about anything, you would be correct, because that's just how government works. I don't agree with it, but these people are absolutely nut jobs. Like, who thinks that that's what they're talking about based off of what you heard? They're actually supposed to be debating the tax bill. Nothing about what he's saying is about the tax bill. What the hell is going on? It's like flipping through a TV channel. You're like, what is this?
Goes on. The man who promised during his leadership run to make Canada the freest country in the world maintains tight control over the actions of his caucus members. Madam Speaker, that goes on extensively.
Okay, yeah, we're not going to listen to you, bro. That's enough. All right, folks, that's where we're gonna end question period stream there. I'm not going to continue into further territory. We done a good stream. I'm going to read off this long list of super chats. By the way, I don't know. I don't think you guys could see it on your end, but you know how I spent $250 on this jacket, and now it turns out we might not even be getting that $250 rebate. That's why I did it, so that I can say Justin Trudeau bought me this jacket. I also needed this jacket. We just got like enough super chats to pay for that. So, thanks. If Trudeau didn't pay for the jacket, the community did. How about that? Eh? That's kind of poetic. We're gonna read off some of these super chats though. Next with the 10 saying, stop muting the mic. Yeah, that's right. Go sign the petition if you haven't yet already. Petitions, the time's almost up. Stop muting the mic.ca. Jono Landon with the 279. Love you, brother, but please ease up on the yelling. Now, normally, just like telling a kid not to put their hand in the cookie jar, this is where I would take the time to yell. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I am. When someone says don't do it, I do the opposite because you know, 279, and you think you can get me to stop yelling? Come on. The Liberals at least are trying to give me $250. Come on, get out of here. Stop yelling. It's gonna cost more money than that. Habs Hockey 2. My condolences for the name. Sorry about that. Sorry about being you being a Habs fan. Liberals look defeated. Surely this is the end game. It's over? Can we say that yet? Can we say it's over? Blessed Maple. Welcome to the membership program. I appreciate that. Peter Townsend. Why is it moms buying diapers? Why not parents? I'm a father buying diapers. That's discriminatory. You're right. You are right. We should start a petition around that. I like that. I'm not actually going to start a petition around that, but that was a good observation. Arch Magnus 1. What happened to Arch Magnus 0 with the $2? 38M voters coast to coast, and we can't call an election. 38 million voters. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I think we're all ready for an election. Justin Roberts in the chat says, I'll drop your channel. It's annoying. Keep your voice down. No. No. You get a 1 minute timeout. I am the speaker of this channel. and I just muted you. Yeah, that's right. I'm a dictator. Who would have thought? Tia with the 279. Screw Justin Trudeau. No help for disabled and elderly. Well, that's the thing, man. That's the thing about this rebate. Is it is discriminatory. It is like no $250 for those who are on disability or retired and all that stuff. Like that's insane. What's going on on EI? It doesn't make any sense. Nasty Dasty with the 5 saying, why does Anthony Housefather look like Ross from Friends? Hi. Hi. That's my Ross impression. Or pivot. That's all I got. Woody Doppelganger with a 5 saying so much passion. Libs need it scripted. Liberals don't look so confident at all. That's a great observation. The Conservatives barely ever read a script. They just go, especially Pierre. Pierre's phenomenal at winging it. And that's what makes a part of what makes a great leader. I mean, if you can just talk without a script, does that make you a great leader? No, not really. You have to be able to get your point across properly. But Pierre is trained his whole life for this. And I know there's some objections to Pierre. I won't be ignorant to that. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that he's cut from the same cloth as Trudeau. I don't have a reason to believe that right now. So far, we're seeing a lot of resistance by the opposition, by Pierre. I mean, for crying out loud, he filibustered for like 8 hours earlier this year or last year. Like, it's pretty good, man. Pierre is pretty solid. And I don't think that anybody can do a worse job than Justin Trudeau. So I think that we owe it to Canada to give Pierre and the Conservatives that opportunity. Day Esports with 5 saying, let's see tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. I don't stream on Fridays. No one's going to be in the house tomorrow. I don't even think Melissa Lantzman, Michael Cooper, I don't even think they're going to be in the house. I think it's going to be like pretty scarce. But next week is going to be insane. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, opposition days, opposition leader days, opposition party days, or whatever it's called. That's going to be insane. So you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to the channel, right? Excuse me. Make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications. That's that little bell notification. And then when you click that, make sure it's on all so you get notified of the live streams, because you're not going to want to miss it, especially if there's like an impromptu. I don't do that often on this channel, but if there's an emergency debate that happens in the House or an emergency press conference and I need to go live, you're not going to want to miss it, and you don't want to be subject to the algorithm, right? So the way around that is by turning on those post notifications. It's worth it. It's worth it. And I'm sorry if it's annoying because I post a lot of videos. I really am sorry, but seriously, subscribe to the channel and turn that bell notification. It's not something that I say on repeat to annoy you. It's so you actually can like catch it, right? It's a push notification to your phone. Habs Hockey 2 with the 279 say no real solutions. Do you hear yourself, Judy? Man, these liberals are freaking crazy. These liberals are nuts. Alphonse Klein with the 2 saying, doesn't Jolie look like a Muppet with her hands? She's the G.I. Joe of Canada. She's always talking like this and doing that and doing all of these things. And she pretends like she's an action figure fighting on behalf of Canada and Canadians. She thinks that she's like a Barbie action figure. She's actual scum. She's a horrible human being. She's LARPing, right? Live action role playing. You know those nerds that wear buckets over their head with swords and they go out into an open field and they're like pretending to do like Avada Kedavra and Expelliarmus and all that shit, and they play with swords, right? Those people, nerds, right? Okay, well that's called LARPing, live action role playing. That's fine. Hey, we're all nerds in some shape or form. That's fine. I'm a nerd in other ways, but that's what she's doing, but with politics. It's not good. She wears like World War II fatigues and pretends that she's like a head nurse in World War II when she talks about Ukraine and stuff. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. Why would you do that? You bet I LARP, says Canada United. Do I LARP? I don't know. I don't know if I LARP. I sure know a lot about LARPing. Yeah, it's a pretty common phrase, Boomer. Get with the times. Haha. Chrome Fiction with a 5. When you yell, when something crazy happens, you sound like a certain rock star I know. Jack Black wants to cut off some dude's finger in Parliament. Hey, don't compare me to Jack Black. He's a bitch. All right. After Trump's attempted assassination attempt, he was on stage with his bandmate, and his bandmate, he asked his bandmate, it was his birthday, and he's like, what's your birthday wish? And his bandmate said, don't miss. Like, no, man. And then their tour got canceled. I used to have a lot of respect for Jack Black, and I don't now. I don't like Jack Black. It sucks, man. Politics, when you have celebrities that start issuing their political opinions, you start to lose respect if they're the opposite, right? Like all these Hollywood actors. I miss the days where actors just acted and they didn't get involved in politics, and athletes just played their sport and they didn't get involved in politics. But now you got like a lot of celebrities that come out and they like Ben Stiller and stuff, Jack Black, and all these people. They all have, they were all like super pro Democrats and super pro Jibby during the blip, And it's like, come on, why? Just act. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? We don't care about that. And then I stop watching. I boycott their shit because it's nuts. It's nuts. I don't like it. Mr. Excuses with the 2 saying, boo-hoo, Jennifer, hairline is going. No doubt. David with the 10. Thanks for your channel. I dream of an election early spring. David, we might see one. I'm being real here. We might actually see one early spring. I'm excited. Andrew LaPence with the 2, i.e. Trudeau's incident at school with a minor. Whoa. Yeah, with the NDA. That's not too good, eh? That's not too good. Zira Duval with the 10. All I want for Christmas is an election. You and me both. That would be incredible. I think we all want that. Woody Doppelganger with the 5 saying Kevin is trying to gaslight us. Simple as that. Canadians think you are all insane. Yep. These people are nuts. I don't understand anyone who sees the Liberals and the NDP and they're like, yeah, those are my people. Those people that gaslight us, I like them. I'm going to vote for them. That's nuts to me. That's Stockholm syndrome, isn't it? Gray Sun builds with a 2. Can you moderate a certain user? He's just repeating. No, there's mods somewhere. I don't know what's going on. Universal Ontology with the 99-cent sticker with the cool emoji. Thanks for that. And to end things here, we got Bane's Basement with a 279. The libs jag on our meat till we sing. What the fuck? All right, that's is that a song? It's pretty funny, I guess. All right, folks, that's where we're going to end it. We're all caught up on Super Chats. Thank you everybody who donated and stuff like that. Thanks for the new members. I appreciate that. Thanks for liking the stream. We got 2,363 likes on the stream. We got lots of views on this live stream as well. I'll tell you the number in a second. Up to date right now. Over 61,000 views on the stream so far. So that's incredible. That's all thanks to you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys. Unlikely tomorrow because it is Friday. Unlikely. I don't normally stream Fridays, but again, we'll see. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm wearing pants today. You think I'd be sitting here in a $250 winter jacket without wearing pants? Yeah, I would. The other day, I was walking around my house in my boxers and trying to break this code in. So yeah, I do some weird shit, but hey, that's just me. Wearing pants today, folks, but who knows? Maybe tomorrow I won't be. Thanks for watching. Peace and love, everybody. And we'll see you guys same time Monday at the very latest. But if not tomorrow, and maybe